My sister told everyone I chose not to come to her wedding. That's the story my family repeated. The truth was a little different. I wasn't invited, not forgotten, not accidentally left off the guest list, intentionally excluded. And the strangest part, I didn't fight it. I didn't argue. I didn't beg to be included. I simply booked a vacation. And by the time I came back, the wedding didn't exist anymore. But to understand how everything fell apart, you have to understand my sister. Emma had always been the center of attention, not just in the normal younger sibling way, in the gravitational way, the kind where every conversation slowly bends toward her, every celebration becomes hers, every problem becomes someone else's fault. Growing up, our parents encouraged it, not intentionally, but consistently. Emma was sensitive. Emma was emotional. Emma needed support. I was the older one, the responsible one, the quiet one who understood. If Emma cried, I apologized. If Emma got angry, I backed down. If Emma wanted something I had, it usually became hers. I didn't hate her for it. Not at first. It just felt like the natural order of things. Emma shined. I stepped aside. For most of our childhood, that system worked. Until we became adults. That's when the competition started. Emma hated that I moved out first. Hated that I finished college without drama. Hated that I found a stable job in finance while she bounced between creative pursuits. Photography, interior design, event planning, influencer marketing. Each one lasted about 6 months. Each one ended with a new explanation about why the world had failed her, not the other way around. Our parents kept helping her. Rent payments, car repairs, credit card bailouts. I didn't say anything, because technically it wasn't my business. But Emma noticed something she didn't like. They never had to help me. And for some reason, that made her angry. The tension got worse when she met Daniel. Daniel was different, quiet, polite, successful. He worked as an engineer and had the calm patience of someone who solved problems for a living. At first I thought he balanced Emma out, stabilized her. But over time I noticed something else. Daniel wasn't balancing Emma. He was absorbing her chaos. The way people sometimes do when they love someone difficult. They dated for 3 years. Then Daniel proposed. The engagement announcement was huge. Family dinner, champagne, pictures everywhere. Emma cried. My mom cried. My dad gave a speech about love and family. And during that dinner, Emma made a point of saying something strange. This wedding is going to be perfect, she said. Perfect. She repeated that word a lot. Perfect venue. Perfect flowers. Perfect photos. Perfect people. At the time, I didn't think much about it. Until the planning started. Emma turned wedding preparation into a full-time job. Spreadsheets, mood boards, daily phone calls with vendors, group chats with bridesmaids, constant updates on social media. And slowly, something else started happening. I stopped being included. At first it was small. Group chats where everyone was tagged except me. Family meetings about wedding plans where I found out afterward. Dress shopping trips that just happened last minute. When I asked about it, Emma smiled and said the same thing every time. Oh, I figured you were busy. Maybe she believed that. Maybe she didn't. But the pattern continued. One day my mom casually mentioned the bridesmaid dresses. I blinked. Bridesmaid dresses? She looked confused. You didn't know? Apparently Emma had already chosen 5 bridesmaids. Her college roommate, 2 co-workers, our cousin, and Daniel's sister. I wasn't one of them. I tried to ignore the feeling in my stomach. Maybe Emma wanted friends instead of family in the bridal party. That was fine. Not everything had to be about me. But then came the engagement party. That's when I realized something was wrong. Everyone received invitations. Printed, elegant, gold lettering. Even distant relatives got one. I didn't. When I asked Emma about it, she laughed. Oh, that was just a small thing. It wasn't small. There were 40 people there. I saw the photos online. That was the moment the uneasiness turned into suspicion. Still, I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because part of me believed there was a reasonable explanation. Then came the bridal shower. Another event. Another set of invitations. Another gathering where I wasn't included. This time I asked directly, Emma, am I invited? There was a pause. A very small one. Then she said something I didn't expect. Well, the space is limited. Limited. For family. For a sister. I nodded. Didn't argue. Didn't react. But something inside me shifted. For the first time, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. And what I noticed made everything clear. Emma wasn't forgetting me. She was editing me out. Photos, plans, guest lists, conversations. Whenever I appeared in something related to the wedding, she subtly removed me. And no one else seemed to question it. Until 2 weeks before the wedding. That's when the invitations arrived. My parents received theirs in the mail. My cousins received theirs. Friends posted theirs on Instagram. I waited. A week passed. Nothing. Finally, I called my mom. Did Emma send my invitation somewhere else? There was silence. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. I thought you already knew. Knew what? Another pause. Longer this time. Emma decided the wedding would be less stressful. If you didn't come, for a moment I thought I'd misheard. Did she say why? Mom hesitated. She thinks you make her feel judged. Judged. That word hung in the air. I wasn't angry yet. Just stunned. Because I barely spoke during family gatherings. I avoided arguments. I stayed out of her drama. But apparently my existence was still a problem. Did Dad agree with this? I asked. He thinks it's Emma's day. Of course he did. That was the moment I realized something important. No one was going to stand up for me. Not my parents. Not my relatives. Not even Daniel. Maybe he didn't know. Or maybe he knew and didn't want the conflict. Either way, the decision had been made. I wasn't invited to my own sister's wedding. I sat in my apartment for a long time that night, thinking. Not about revenge. Not about confrontation. Just thinking. And eventually I reached a conclusion. If Emma wanted a wedding without me, I would give her exactly that. The next morning I booked a vacation. 2 weeks in Greece. Island hopping. Beach resorts. No phone calls. No family drama. I posted one photo before leaving. Just a suitcase and a plane ticket. Caption. Taking a little break. I didn't mention the wedding. Didn't mention Emma. But people noticed the timing. The messages started almost immediately. Friends asking where I was going. Cousins asking if I'd be back for the wedding. I didn't answer. Then I turned off notifications. And boarded the plane. For the first few days, it was peaceful. Sun, ocean, good food. The kind of quiet that clears your head. I started realizing something strange. Without the constant pressure of family expectations, I felt lighter. Like I'd been carrying something heavy without noticing. Then the texts started. Not from Emma, from everyone else. At first they were small. Hey, are you okay? Where are you right now? Did you hear what happened? I ignored them. Until my cousin finally sent something that made me open the message. 3 words. The wedding venue. Attached was a photo. The venue had cancelled. Apparently Emma had missed a payment. Or maybe 2. The contract required full payment 2 weeks before the date. It hadn't happened. So the venue released the booking. And gave the date to another couple. Emma lost the location for her perfect wedding. That was the first crack. But it wasn't the last. 2 days later another message arrived. From Daniel's sister. Things are getting crazy here. She explained that the caterer had also pulled out. Same reason. Late payments. Apparently Emma had been shifting money around to cover decorations and photographers instead of paying vendors on time. The problems were stacking up. Venue gone. Caterer gone. Guests confused. Family arguing. And then came the biggest surprise. Daniel finally spoke up. Not publicly, but to my parents. He asked a very simple question. Why isn't her sister invited? No one had a good answer. Emma's explanation about feeling judged sounded thin when repeated out loud. Especially after the vendor problems started. Suddenly people were asking other questions. About finances. About planning decisions. About why Emma had insisted on controlling everything herself. Apparently Daniel hadn't been involved in most of it. That realization changed the mood fast. Because when the numbers came out, the situation looked worse. Emma hadn't just missed payments. She had spent the wedding budget on things no one approved. Custom decor, luxury transportation, designer dresses, thousands of dollars in content creation for social media. The wedding wasn't over budget. It was financially wrecked. And Daniel had just discovered it. The argument happened 3 days before the ceremony. I didn't hear it directly, but 5 different relatives described it the same way. Daniel asked for the full financial breakdown. Emma refused. Daniel insisted. Emma exploded. Voices raised. Doors slammed. Guests overheard everything. By the end of the night, Daniel postponed the wedding. Not cancelled. Postponed. At least that was the official announcement. Unofficially, people knew the truth. Trust had broken. Family members started choosing sides. And suddenly, the question of why I wasn't invited came back again. This time louder. Because once people started questioning Emma's decisions, they noticed other things. How she'd treated friends. How she demanded money from our parents.